I remember going to a conference and I was sitting next to a plastic surgeon.
Can I ask you this question?
Yeah, we just got to talking about how the different fillers work. And he was telling me that there was a very popular injector in his area that did a lot of Sculptra. And then years later, he would get the patients for a facelift.
Mm-hmm.
And he said those patients, he couldn't drape the skin as nicely. It was tougher. It was not as elastic. Hi, everybody out there in internet land.
Welcome to Skin Deep with Dr. Amy Miller.
And I'm Dr. Amy Miller. I'm coming at you today from St. Louis Skin Solutions in St. Louis, Missouri. And first and foremost, Megan, what wine do we have today?
Well, the reason we got Dr. Miller to do these lovely podcasts was we bribed her with wine. So it is her with wine. Yeah, big surprise, right?
Mm-hmm.
So today we are drinking the Ménage à Trois Red Blend. It is a lovely medium body red, doesn't have heavy tannins on the back end, smooth and velvety, full of rich berries.
Do you know what it blends? Is it a cab and a pinot?
I don't know what this one blends. This one, it does not tell me what it blends in this one. It's a 3 grape blend, but they won't tell me what the grapes are.
Nice. Yeah.
Better than that one we opened a few weeks ago that was yucky that we poured down the drain.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't like that one.
Yeah.
Pretty tasty. So anyways, today we are going to be chatting about biostimulatory injectables versus regenerative injectables, what the difference is, what they are, where we're going, and how did we get here?
Okay. All right. So the big thing with injectable fillers is that they are stimulating your body to make its own collagen. And we didn't think that was happening initially because in the beginning, the fillers that were available weren't around long enough. Like first and foremost, it was collagen. That was only in there 6 or 8 weeks.
Right.
So that's not long enough to do much anything. But then as the hyaluronic acids started coming out in the longer term, the more cross-linked hyaluronic acids, we found maybe there is some stimulation to it. And then we definitely could see it with the longer term fillers such as Sculptra and Radius. Sculptra is polylactic acid. That's the generic name. And Radius is calcium hydroxyapatite. So polylactic acid is really a type of suture that's used in the OR for sewing people up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's ground into 2 little tiny microscopic little bits. And calcium hydroxyapatite is the same type of calcium that's in our bones. So it's something our body likes and knows and does not get angry at seeing, shall we say that.
All right. So when we're talking biostimulation versus regeneration, what's the difference?
And there's a big difference because a lot of the fillers will talk about how biostimulatory they are, right? So whenever you have any type of, well, in general, aesthetic procedure, we're stimulating the body's wound healing response to generate that collagen, generate the elastin. So that is considered biostimulatory because we're stimulating that reaction. So any of the longer term fillers can be considered biostimulatory.
Okay.
However, regeneration is a totally different beast. And adult mammals of any species don't regenerate our tissue very well. We can repair it, but we don't regenerate it. Okay. There's one little guy called the axolotl. He's kind of a cute little, I have a picture of him somewhere. He's a cute little amphibian. Oh, there he is. There he is. And he is one of the animals on Earth that as a full adult can totally repair his skin. So you take an axolotl, you cut out a chunk of skin, you let it heal, and it repairs all the original organelles and functions are there. The sweat glands, the hair. Well, this is for a human.
Right.
So it's back to square one. Fetuses can do this. So that's why in utero operations are result with a baby that doesn't have a scar. But we lose that somewhere along the way. Where we lose it, who knows? But by the time we're adults, we can't do that.
Sure.
So we are repairing. So when there is a wound, The body is just trying to get it closed up and healed. So it is making collagen, but it's got to get that collagen out quick, and it's got to be there to close that wound. So it's literally scar collagen that gets produced. It's not healthy, normal collagen. Reparative mechanisms cause healthy collagen to be generated.
Okay. So is biostimulatory, for those of us that are not medical people, more reparative? Is a biostimulatory going to help with repairing the collagen or helping your body to know to produce the right kind of collagen?
Right. It's going to repair. Biostimulatory, unless proven otherwise, is reparative, not regenerative.
Okay.
So we are on a quest to find out how we create more regeneration.
Okay.
So that's why that little axetol is so popular. The scientists are studying how do we do this? How can we
Create regeneration.
create generation? Can you imagine having a hysterectomy or any type of surgery and not having a scar?
That'd be grand.
That would be quite grand.
That would be quite grand.
Yes.
Very interesting. So back in the day when HAs came out and they were kind of first on the market, it was said that they would just disappear into the world, into your body after 6, 9, 12 months. What are we learning now?
Well, in some places, in some parts of the body, they do that.
Mm-hmm.
Some parts they don't. It depends on lymphatic flow and blood flow. If you have poor lymphatic draining, like the tear trough area, that filler can sit there a long time because the body's white blood cells can't get there.
Right.
So it can just sit there. That can happen with any of the fillers. If you have that happen, you want it to happen with a filler that resembles something your body already owns or knows about.
Correct.
So ideally, the least chemically changed hyaluronic acid or a calcium hydroxyapatite.
So out of the three, an HA, the Radiesse, or the Sculptra, which of those, in your professional opinion, is going to give you the most biostimulatory, reparative, on the way to regenerative results in the best way for your body?
So hands down, the winner for that is Radiesse, calcium hydroxyapatite. There's a multitude of reasons. First and foremost is the body knows what it is.
Sure.
It's calcium. The body is not angry when it gets injected. Polylactic acid, which is the Sculptra, is ground up suture. And when you look at it under the microscope, it has very jagged edges, whereas the Radiesse is nice and smooth. So that's one more irritating thing to the body. So when you inject that filler, the filler goes in the neutrophils, which are white blood cells. There are soldiers. They're patrolling. They're walking around patrolling. Okay, foreign body, what is this stuff? So if it's something more jagged and unusual, or of something that the body doesn't recognize, it's going to say, hey, monocytes, get over here. The monocytes are another type of white blood cell that engulf foreign bodies and basically digest them and destroy them. Okay, so it's going to call in those monocytes. Monocytes are going to try to digest it. It doesn't work. If it's too big a chunk of filler, or if it's something that's just not going to break down, the monocytes will kind of fuse together and become what's called a foreign body giant cell, and it surrounds the product. You're going to see this much more with a foreign body, jagged edges, more acidic properties than you are with calcium, and to a lesser extent, hyaluronic acids. So those giant foreign body cells fuse. They can't. It's still too big. The product is still too irritating. So the monocytes say, "Hey, we need more help. Call in the T lymphocytes." Okay, so the T lymphocytes then stimulate the inflammatory process, and you can go towards a pro-inflammatory reparative route, or those lymphocytes can go towards a more, it's still inflammatory, but regenerative route. And that's the key. How do we switch that lymphocyte to tell all the other soldiers and cells in the area to regenerate instead of repair. We don't know a lot about how that works and why that works. And if we could just find the key to that, that'd be amazing. However, we don't know right now.
Got it.
So,
well, it's almost like that time when, remember, I broke my foot in 3 places and it ate all the radius. If you x-ray my foot, which they did again, you can't see the breaks anymore. Yeah.
Your body loved that calcium and used it for your foot.
Yep.
Whereas if it's HA or polylactic acid, couldn't use it.
Right.
Huh?
Yeah. So is anybody going to be allergic to radius?
Well, you could be allergic to the carrier. In the U.S., we have carboxymethylcellulose as the carrier, which is just kind of a starch. It dissolves. It's just a way to get the calcium in there. I guess you could have an allergy to that, or some people have lidocaine allergies. There's lidocaine in the product.
Right.
But the calcium, no. This is what our bones are made out of. You will not be allergic to it.
What about with the Sculptra, since it's that polylactic? If somebody's had a reaction to stitches or sutures, like as a kid, I had stitches in my hand and my body pushed the stitches out because it didn't like them, and they were catgut sutures, like back in the day, because I'm old. They were catgut sutures. So if you had some kind of reaction like that, could your body react negatively to Sculptra?
Absolutely. Catgut is supposed to be absorbed naturally, so your body didn't want it.
Nope.
And some sutures just get pushed out because they're too superficial or whatever. Or they're meant to be pushed out. But catgut is usually used a little deeper because it's absorbable. So I'd avoid Sculptra.
Yeah.
Then I wanted to show this last picture, and it's a picture of reparative versus regenerative endpoints. And you see the filler in there, and you see that giant macrophage surrounding it. It can't eat it, so it calls in the fibroblasts to make collagen and to just tack it all down and tie it up in a neat package so this foreign body can't escape and wreak havoc in the body. Whereas when it's a repair or a regenerative process, it blends in seamlessly with the skin. You have those lovely monocytes and neutrophils, but they're not alarmed. They're not calling the troops in. They're good. They're cashed. They're having a break. You get new vessel growth to nurture the area and bring nutrients in, so collagen and elastin can be made. So those are your final host response or your final outcomes with your different fillers. And I see Radius just doing a better job. And this was brought home to me when I was a young whippersnapper, just starting in the aesthetic world 20 plus years ago, a long time ago. Yeah. And I remember going to a conference and I was sitting next to a plastic surgeon. We just
ask you this question.
Yeah, we just got to talking about about how the different fillers work, and he was telling me that there was a very popular injector in his area that did a lot of Sculptra. And then years later, he would get the patients for a facelift. And he said those patients, he couldn't drape the skin as nicely. It was tougher. It was not as elastic. Whereas the patients that had the other fillers, the non-Sculptra fillers, he had much better results with. So he, at that point, had gone off Sculptra, so to speak, and I've kind of followed his lead, because when I get patients who've had it multiple times, you can tell when you're injecting, especially when you use a cannula. It's tougher to get through, cracklier, it's harder to get through. Now, does that happen all the time? Probably older folk more often. These younger 20-somethings that are getting their polylactic acid, it's fine. They're young enough. They're probably not going to have as vigorous a response. So that's one of those things. Hey, you're 25, it looks good initially, and you keep doing it, and then you're going to pay for it later. I hate to say it. Yeah. And I don't like to diss certain products, but this one is not, Sculptra's not one you want to keep doing over and over again. It's like sun damage. Yeah. The more you accumulate, probably
Yeah.
the
The worse it's going to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a big buzz on social media about Sculptra.
Yeah, I don't get that.
I don't either. So, I mean, at our practice, I know what we would choose. We'll choose Radius 10 times over Sculptra.
Mhm.
And I just do your homework, get your education
Yeah.
before you just jump on, and that's on any social media bandwagon. Before you jump on that social media bandwagon, make sure you go to a professional that you trust, that knows what they're doing, that has experience, so that you can get the actual education that you need before you start injecting your face, your bottom, your thighs, wherever you're going to inject. Just make sure that you have the education ahead of time for it.
Exactly. Because if your injector says, "Oh, it lasts 3 years and then it's gone," I would question that.
Yeah.
Because they haven't looked at the long-term effects and that whole healing and inflammatory reparative versus regenerative response. Just one other thing on Radius, on calcium hydroxyapatite. Just this morning, I was looking through my inbox and there was an article about calcium hydroxyapatite in the forearm. So you know how elderly people get all those bruises and they tear more easily.
Absolutely.
And this was really fascinating. They did one treatment and they used the worst forearm as their treated arm with the Sculptra and then the better, or with the Radius, excuse me. And the better forearm was their control. And they injected and did biopsies 45 days later and then a year later and saw sustained improvement over the year.
Nice.
It's quite fascinating. They did ultrasound studies. They showed that something called the epidermal echogenic band, which is kind of the space where the papillary dermis has been destroyed over time by sun exposure and whatnot, that actually goes away or it improves immensely. That's crazy. Yes, it is crazy. It is crazy.
Because that skin, I remember with my dad, his skin was he always was purple.
Yeah.
And just the skin and he would bleed all the time just because his skin was so thin from years and years of growing up on Cape Cod and being in the sun and then living in Florida and, all those things. So that would have been an amazing thing to know back in the day before he passed. But that would be cool. Be very cool as, we have some patients that
could use that. Yeah. Absolutely.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Closing notes.
Well, go get some of this if you like red wine.
Yep.
I think that it's
a good one. It's a $10 to $15 bottle. It's not expensive.
Yeah. And if you're looking for regenerative treatments, come to St. Louis Skin Solutions. We got you.
Signing off. Cheers.